Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Got a big update on a self-defense case that was all over the news, and this is a huge one. I'm obviously going to thank the sponsor of the video, is Attorneys on Retainer. It's who I use for self-defense in the event I ever have to do that, and they can cover everybody in every single state. There are programs out there that can't do that. They are only covering self-defense law, and they're the only law firm in the nation that does that. Attorneys for Freedom is the law firm. Guys, I trust them literally with my life. I don't have the coverage, the money to do this on my own if I ever had to, because it could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I don't have that. So if you're in a situation like that and you carry tools to defend yourself or others, and it doesn't even have to be a firearm, and if you can say in court righteously that you did that to defend yourself or others, self-defense can be brought up in court. They will cover you everywhere. They don't care about gun-free zones. They don't care about this gun wasn't on the roster. They don't care about that. They think everybody has the right to defend themselves. So check out Attorneys on Retainer using the link that's down below and enter in the code GNG to save half off your sign-up fee and half off your family plan sign-up fee. Whatever the case, individual or family plan, I can save you money, but you got to use the link and the code to save. Thank you to AOR for doing what you do. They've had victories in New York City. Enough said. Enough said. All right, so the case is Kayla Giles. You've heard this case. Why? I mean, let's get it out in the open now. Kayla was covered by USCCA. They elected to drop her. I'm not getting into that. I've covered that. It's been all over, the socials. Everybody should know about that. But what you need to know is that she had appealed, right? And using her own attorney at that point, it went up to the Louisiana State Supreme Court. And the State Supreme Court, the justices, during the oral arguments, which I heard, I watched, sorry, forgot to put this on silent. They made some comments that made it appear that they were going to side with Kayla Giles on this, because everybody has the right to defend themselves. And they looked at the video of the incident, and yes, there are questions still in other parts of the case, but what I can tell you is that Kayla's conviction for second-degree murder was overturned. Okay, she was sentenced to, I believe it was 30 years for second-degree murder and obstruction of justice in the shooting of her then estranged husband during a custody exchange in a Walmart parking lot. So what do people need to know right now? Well, Kayla, the conviction for murder has been dropped. What's still outstanding is the obstruction of justice issue. All right, hopefully that's better. It looked like the sun was affecting the phone. So what the Louisiana State Supreme Court did was they overturned the conviction for second-degree murder and told the trial court, you need to now look at the obstruction of justice charge. And she got 30 years, but the obstruction to what? The murder charge, the second-degree murder charge, was vacated. It doesn't exist anymore. So now they need to look at the obstruction of justice, and I have a feeling, I mean, in the courts they can work and anything can happen, but I have a feeling it's probably very beneficial for her right now. So we'll hear more about that. The reason it was overturned was an error in jury instruction for the self-defense, actually for the stand your ground portion of Louisiana law, and it's a good thing. She defended herself. The court realized it now, the state Supreme Court, and Kayla Giles has a second shot at her freedom, and you'll hear more about that as we go along. But it's some key things to note is that the Supreme Court noted that the stand your ground law allows someone to defend themselves with deadly force without needing to consider whether retreating or escaping is possible. And that's big, guys. It's really big. They said that the stand your ground law in Louisiana is, quote, blunt, strong, and clear, which is also good for people who carry for self-defense. They pointed out prior Louisiana cases decided stand your ground where what? The court acknowledged many facts that are favorable to Kayla, and she had sought a protective order against her husband. The evidence of domestic abuse existed in their relationship, and after she researched self-defense laws, she had multiple custody exchanges without incident. They also noted that her estranged husband was an amateur MMA fighter, 11 inches taller than her and about twice her weight. Those are all key factors in self-defense law across the nation. Size and stature, training level, that's all a big factor in people making a decision on deploying self-defense. The Louisiana State Supreme Court also found that the Court of Appeals did not properly apply the Louisiana law that Kayla benefits from, a legal presumption that she reasonably believed deadly force was necessary to prevent illegal entry into her car. If you're not familiar, didn't see the video, I'm not going to play it. It's been played a million times and YouTube's crazy with that stuff. But she got in her car, shut the door, he opened the car door and went and attempted to go in, which is when she thought she needed to defend herself. A good quote from this case was, "The appellate court's approach seriously undermines both our state's stand your ground laws and our citizens' Second Amendment rights." Another good quote from the case was, "To presuppose that the defendant sitting in her own car was the aggressor, as this particular jury charge implies, reintroduces a duty to withdraw and undermines the instruction concerning the legal presumption." Basically saying Kayla didn't have to get out of her car and she's not an aggressor because she's sitting in her car. That's big for this decision here. And the court also found that the aggressor doctrine jury instruction, which I said was the error, conflicted with Louisiana stand your ground law in cases like this where there's no evidence that the defendant was the aggressor. So what happens next is what everybody probably wants to know. The case will be sent back to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals for them to reconsider, like I said, the obstruction of justice charge and potentially whether the sentence for that charge was excessive. 30 years for obstruction to something that is no longer there. The Third Circuit could potentially find that there were no errors committed related to that charge or that she deserves a new trial for that charge as well. So more news as this progresses. The court will also likely grant Kayla a new trial for that murder charge. And it was reported that the Attorney General's communications director said the AG's office is aware of the opinion and has pledged to take a close look at the case. So that we'll hear more rapidly. But that is a big, famous self-defense case where, unfortunately, she was covered by a company that decided on their own that she doesn't get covered because of how it looked. In fact, there were statements made by officials within that organization that probably they wish they didn't say right now. Yeah, they probably wish that they didn't say she was, well, I won't get into it, but they made some statements that they have retracted and tried to delete from everywhere now, but they're probably going to wish they never said that. Guys and gals, I don't care what program you choose, but just have some type of coverage. If you're asking me what I would recommend, obviously it's attorneys on retainer. They will cover you everywhere in this nation. They have no regard for these unconstitutional laws. If you were legitimately defending yourself, then AOR will legitimately defend you in court in every state of the union. I appreciate y'all. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to protect you, yourself, your family, your friends, your community. It's our right. It's our right, and we're not giving them up. Take care.